Thank you for joining us again for our tour of Freelance, our Pearson 36 cutter. The last episode we looked at what it was above deck. Now we'll look at what's down below. Going down the companionway, you will find a traditional offshore cabin layout and lots of beautiful teak and mahogany. They just don't make boat interiors like this anymore. To starboard is a large nav table, which has a swing-out chair. The table is properly sized to work with traditional paper charts and navigational tools, if that is what is called for. It's a comfortable setup, which also works well in heavy weather, and it's also a handy area to work with a laptop computer. We have the main VHF radio with AIS here, and the GPS chart plotter is fully integrated with the autopilot VHF and cockpit instruments. However, the radar is a standalone unit, which is the way I prefer it. It's good to have some redundancy. The electrical DC and AC panels are aft and above the nav table and includes a link-like battery monitor which gives us the necessary data about our solar panels' performance. Directly to port is a large U-shaped galley where we have a 3-burner propane hill range with oven. It's original to the boat, and we're thinking it's about time to replace it with a modern Force 10. By the way, we use the oven a great deal for making meals and would not wish to be without one when we're out cruising. The propane range is, of course, gimbaled, and we often prepare meals on it while on the way, and it has a necessary safety bar across the front. The sink is a standard deep double basin type. We have hot and cold pressure water, a whale foot pump, a seagull water filter system for drinking water, and a hand pump for either taking the lake water or draining the refrigerator. Behind the sink you will find the red master switch for the electrical system. It's another upgrade. Freelance has an automatic charging relay which automatically switches from the house bank to the starting battery when needed. There's no longer any need to turn the switch between 1, 2 and all. The new switch can, of course, be manually set to combine batteries for an emergency start. There's a deep and roomy 2-level food storage locker to the right of the sink. It's where we keep most of our dry goods. The top-loading refrigerator is opposite of the sink. It's absolutely huge and works well. We never really shut down the refrigerator. The 2 house batteries have more than 200 amps, and our solar panels usually cover all our 24-hour electrical usage, so there really isn't a need to turn off the refrigerator to save power. Above the counter is a molded storage shelf for plates, cups, and spices. It's a nice space-saving feature, which also serves as somewhat of a divider between the galley and the rest of the cabin. This is really a long-distance cruising boat. We have a lot of storage on this boat, more than you will see in more modern boats. And we also carry 150 gallons of water and 50 gallons of diesel fuel. But we have been out for a longer period of time, and you would never know from looking at the cabin how much we're carrying on board the boat. And the cockpit lockers are cavernous. They soak up a lot of equipment and a lot of gear. And it's a very, very comfortable boat to be in. It's really designed for a couple, with another couple joining them for maybe a weekend or maybe a week or 2. We can sleep 6 people in the cabin and the V-berths, but that's because both the settees extend to doubles. But it gets a little crowded, and I would say that we have found that 4 people in this boat, it really is probably the best combination in terms of guests on board. We used to sail with 3 kids and ourselves, and that was okay too. We also have the ability to sleep in the cockpit. And in the cockpit we have a full enclosure we can put up around it if we wish to. So we could actually have more people like that, but it gets crowded. There's not a problem with feeding people and storage, but it's just that you follow each other when you're sleeping, in here and trying to move around. The engine is behind the companionway. It's a 40 horsepower Westerbeek diesel, which was rebuilt about 6 years ago. It is correctly powered for the boat and can give us a cruising speed of 7 knots without strain. We burn less than a gallon of diesel per hour, so we have good range just on the engine, realistically about 300 nautical miles while still allowing for a fuel reserve. Access to the diesel from the cabin is very good, and if you take out the side panels and the cockpit lockers, you can easily get to the filters, impellers, belts, and the rest of the engine. I should mention something that's somewhat unusual about the Pearson 36 cutter. It has a separate V-drive transmission. That means this boat favors backing up to starboard, which can be a surprise to some. Ventilation below is more than adequate. In addition to the companionway, we have 3 Dorade vents, 2 Bowmar hatches with custom screens, and 5 opening portholes with screens. The opening portholes were upgraded to through-bolted stainless steel ones some years ago. They were the exact same size as the old ports, so they were relatively easy to install. We have several 12-volt fans to move the air in the cabin, but there are times when we wish we had air conditioning on Freelance. It can be surprisingly hot in the harbors along the south shore of the lake, although it's seldom a problem when we are at anchor. Now, instead of the need for air conditioning, most people ask us about the cold temperatures on Lake Superior, knowing the northeastern part of the lake is influenced by a subarctic climate. We can testify that a good heater is a welcome addition for any cruising boat on the lake. There are times when you definitely need one. Ours, which we quickly added to Freelance, is a propane burning Force 10, which is rated for 12,000 BTUs. We like it a lot and not only use it on cold and clammy days, but also on our longer night passages. However, sometimes all we need to take the chill out of the cabin is lighting our full-size trawler lamp. It puts out much more heat than you would think. So while it's nice to have its traditional oil lamp glow light the cabin, we have it not only to provide hygge, to use that hard-to-translate Danish word, but also for its heat output. I should mention that all of the electrical bulbs in our cabin lights were long ago changed to LEDs, and our dome lights can be switched to red night lighting. The headroom in Freelance's cabin works for me, and I'm 6'3". Enough headroom was a definite must-have requirement for me when we went boat shopping. Another feature, which we initially thought might be a negative when we bought the boat, is a fold-down table in the main cabin. However, our concern was misplaced. It has actually worked out super well for us. The head is well designed, it has a standard-sized manual toilet, and the vanity has, like the rest of the boat, plenty of storage. An awesome feature, which is not common on the 37-foot sailboat, is a separate full-feature shower stall. It is so very nice to have. Further forward is, of course, the V-berth. It is generously sized. I can fully stretch out on it. We added a Frolic spring system under the cushions and put a thick memory foam mattress on top of them. Vicky insisted on it, and she was absolutely right. It is now a super comfortable place for us to sleep. There are lockers and shelves up here for more storage, as well as good lighting for reading and convenient USB and 12-volt plug-ins. During the day, we store the extra cushions for the settees here, where they are well out of the way. At the end of the V-berth is the large access door to the chain locker, where we keep 110 feet of anchor chain and 250 feet of rode. We have a screen on the door because the locker has a dedicated Dorade cowl for ventilation. That's the end of our walkthrough of Freelance, our Pearson 36 cutter. It's a great boat for Vicky and I. We hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for joining us.